Listen, every single year, we gardeners spend an absolute fortune on store-bought synthetic fertilizers, right? We're constantly trying to force-feed our plants in this endless, exhausting cycle of buying, applying, and just hoping for the best. But what if everything we know about feeding plants is actually backwards? Today, we are diving into an explainer on a remarkably simple $2 DIY solution that completely flips the script on soil health. And, frankly, it makes those expensive commercial fertilizers completely obsolete. Literally $2. For the price of a cheap cup of gas station coffee, you can head to a hardware store and build a system that constantly manufactures the most nutrient-dense plant food ever measured by science. And honestly, the best part isn't even the impossibly low price tag. It's the fact that it operates completely hands-free. No endless turning of compost piles, no hauling heavy loads in a wheelbarrow, no mixing schedules. It is a completely passive system that just works around the clock.
If you've ever tried traditional composting, you know exactly how demanding the drill can be. It is a back-breaking chore. You've got these bulky plastic bins, you're constantly stressing over the carbon to nitrogen ratio, turning the pile with a pitchfork so it doesn't go anaerobic, and then you wait months. Contrast that total exhaustion with the vermipipe method. With this setup, you simply drop your daily kitchen scraps in and walk away. The whole thing practically runs itself without demanding your weekends.
Look how incredibly simple this installation is. You literally just grab a standard 18 to 20-inch piece of PVC pipe and drill a scattered constellation of holes across the bottom half. Now, leaving the top half solid, that's a very deliberate design choice to deter any surface pests. Then you just bury that bottom 2/3 right into your garden bed, toss in your scraps, and pop on a loose-fitting lid. Boom! A true 5-minute project from start to finish that blends right into your garden.
Okay, so there is a menu you need to follow, and while it's strict, it's super straightforward. You want to stick exclusively to raw plant matter. We're talking banana peels, melon rinds, eggshells, coffee grounds, shredded cardboard, that sort of thing. On the flip side, you absolutely must avoid adding any meat, dairy, or oily cooked foods. Why? Because adding those proteins and fats introduces anaerobic bacteria. That leads to a massive pH crash, rancid odors, and it brings in rodents instead of the highly efficient worms we actually want.
Once it's securely in the ground, think of the pipe as an underground diner with a dozen front doors and absolutely no closing time. Unlike a traditional plastic worm bin where the poor things are permanently trapped, this is an open-concept feeding station. Native earthworms that already live in your soil detect the softening scraps, slide into the pipe to eat, and then, crucially, they travel back out. They act as your free-range workforce, commuting from the pipe and distributing highly concentrated fertilizer right to the root zones of your plants. Now, seeing these little guys work with such systematic precision brings up a wildly fascinating historical question. Do worms actually think, or are they just operating on blind biological instinct? Believe it or not, this question entirely consumed Charles Darwin. He actually spent his final 40 years conducting detailed, obsessive daily studies on earthworms. It all culminated in a revolutionary book he published just 6 months before he died, because he realized these simple organisms held immense ecological secrets.
Darwin's experiments were delightfully rigorous and, honestly, kind of hilarious. To test their senses, he literally had someone play the piano nearby and even had his son blow a bassoon directly at the worms, which proved conclusively that they are totally deaf to airborne sounds. But here's the crazy part. He watched night after night as worms meticulously evaluated stiff paper triangles scatter near their burrows. He noticed they consistently chose to drag those triangles down by the narrowest tip, an actual calculated move to reduce physical resistance against the walls of their burrows. So, after decades of these trials, Darwin drops this stunning conclusion. He wrote, "Worms behave in nearly the same manner as would a person facing similar circumstances." Think about that. They aren't just running on primitive autopilot, they are constantly evaluating options and making physical decisions. This completely changes our perspective. When we stick a feeding pipe in the ground, we aren't just feeding random bugs, we are actively partnering with highly sophisticated biological decision makers. But wait, that brings up a massive, profound mechanical mystery. If these ancient creatures, who, by the way, have been engineering the soil for over 300 million years, are entirely blind and entirely deaf, how on earth do they locate a small, buried pipe full of kitchen scraps and a massive garden bed? It all comes down to an absolutely elegant system of chemical detection. A worm's skin is incredibly unique. It features specialized receptor cells lining every single body segment. Imagine having a highly sensitive, working nose on literally every square inch of your skin. These cells pick up super faint chemical signals, like the complex organic acids drifting off your decomposing food, dissolving in the soil moisture. It acts as a biological homing beacon in complete darkness.
And the benefits of this system go way beyond just the food they eat. As the worms commute to and from the pipe, they carve out intricate underground tunnels called macropores. Think of these physical passages as a microscopic plowing system for your garden. They dramatically improve the soil's natural drainage and oxygen levels, which effectively prevents nasty issues like root rot during heavy rains. Plus, all along these little highways, they are precisely depositing their castings exactly where your plant's roots are growing. Now, the difference between synthetic commercial fertilizer and these natural worm castings is literally night and day. It's exactly like comparing a fleeting, quick paycheck to a steady, reliable trust fund. Synthetic fertilizers give you fast uptake, sure, but they deplete super quickly and just wash away with the first heavy rain. Worm castings, however, are physically bound to naturally occurring humic and fulvic acids. That critical binding action securely locks the nutrients into the soil profile, releasing them gently and exactly when the roots need them over weeks and months.
And the peer-reviewed lab results perfectly illustrate how powerful this natural exchange really is. When scientifically compared to untreated soil right next to it, worm castings deliver staggering multiples of vital plant minerals. We are talking 5 times more plant-available nitrogen, 7 times more phosphorus, and an unbelievable 11 times more potassium. No commercial bag of synthetic chemicals synthesized in some factory can ever hope to replicate that perfectly balanced, naturally bound ratio. But here's the thing. The magic goes way beyond just basic NPK minerals. These castings contain a vibrant, living community of hundreds of millions of beneficial microorganisms. Together, they create this biological armor that actively defends root systems against soil-borne diseases. Even wilder, they pack actual plant growth hormones, auxins, cytokinins, and gibberellins. Naturally produced during the worm's digestion, these hormones send direct chemical signals telling your plants to grow thicker stems and pump out way more flowers.
So, what happens when you put all this complex biology together? Well, here is the ultimate mic drop from controlled university trials. Plants grown with worm castings produce up to 126% more total biomass than identical plants fed with standard store-bought synthetics. 126%. We're talking massively thicker stems, vastly deeper root networks, and significantly heavier yields. And again, all of this is generated from a $2 piece of pipe and your leftover coffee grounds.
And this slow, deliberate engineering has impacts that stretch way beyond a single gardening season. Over centuries, through a continuous natural process called upward migration, earthworms move vast quantities of soil upward, grain by tiny grain. They literally bury the old. It's exactly why ancient Roman mosaic floors in England are found perfectly preserved right beneath the topsoil, and why the massive stones of Stonehenge have slowly, inevitably settled deeper into the earth.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this powerful thought. The earthworm is not a creature of endings. It is a creature of slow, patient transformation. They beautifully teach us that the most profound, lasting contributions to our world are often quiet, steady, and totally unseen. By simply burying a $2 pipe, you're not just throwing away kitchen waste. You're actively partnering with nature's oldest and most capable engineers. So, what kind of patient transformation will you start in your garden today?